if I can get your attention, please. We've got Stephen, Loveless, and Ashley from the Gender and Sexuality Resource Center that are coming over to do a presentation with y'all. Honestly, this is my favorite department to work with on campus, and Stephen's definitely one of my favorite people on campus, so excited to have them over here to help educate our staff of things that are going on. So I'll turn it over to them. Do you want to?
I'm going to talk. Can everybody hear me? Okay, there we go. Sorry, microphones are not my friend. So first and foremost, if you have already seen this presentation one time because you've been here at the Rec Center before, raise your hand. Okay, just kidding, perfect. So most of you are returners, which is good. We tried to change it up a little bit this year. We want to give you some different scenarios. We're going to have lots of things to talk about. Who's new in the room? Okay, a couple of new friends. Okay, so if I can have any of my returners who are at these 4 tables here, you're going to move over this way, and all of my new folks are going to come over to these 4 tables. And go!
Do you want to?
That's good right now. We're not going to change
Hey, you're going to be on the training video now. Face of you, Rick, now. Face of the Rec Center now. Take it. Take it, Rachel.
Executive decision.
So, my name is Stephen Loveless. I'm the director of our Gender and Sexuality Resource Center. My pronouns are they, them, and their. I am so excited to talk to you all today. First and foremost, I love campus recreation. I love being over here. I love this building. I would spend a lot of more time over here if I could. So I want to thank you all for everything that you do for our students. Second thing, just to set the stage, we're going to have a conversation around gender and sexuality. We're going to have this conversation hopefully so it's super practical and applicable to you all so that you can use it in your job on a day-to-day basis. But I have to put out kind of a heads up. I find that the biggest barriers to our presentations are political correctness. Okay? And the reason I say that is because folks are terrified to ask questions. Okay? Specifically around gender and sexuality. Right? And they're like, oh, I'll say the wrong thing, I'm worried, I don't know what I'll do. So I'm telling you, I need you to throw that out the door for today. Okay? This is our whole job. We are gay for pay. That's right. And so we want to answer those questions for you. We want to be able to help you to understand the concepts around gender and sexuality that we speak about today. And if you use some outdated language, it's not our job to sit here and shame you. Okay? You might say, oh, you know, someone who might be a hermaphrodite. Well, actually, the term we use is intersex. And we're going to move forward. Okay, I'm not going to be like, what did you say? I can't believe you did that. That does not help anybody learn anything, right? So please ask questions today if you have questions. Cool? Awesome. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague.
Hey everyone, so my name is Ashley Edwards. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I am currently finishing up my bachelor's in elementary education with a minor in psychology, and I work at the GSRC as a student coordinator. I also identify as a aromantic, asexual trans woman, just to say that. So if you have any questions, I'm very open, and if you want to talk to me later, you can do that. We're going to get started. First of all, we just moved into our new house last year, so this is our second year in the house. It's really awesome, great space. It's at 2215 10th Avenue. So it's like a 2-minute walk away from the UC. Really, really accessible to get to. You can hang out there. We have students come in. We have affinity groups, lots of resources. We also watch HGTV and Food Network and a lot of fun stuff because we got cable. So I'm excited about that. We also have people cook, and I always love eating the leftovers. That's what I'm really excited about. Yeah.
We're also hoping to host, we saw this cool announcement that you all will do yoga classes over at other places, so we'll be reaching out to you soon. Just to let you know, when we both introduced ourselves, we gave our pronouns. We said, my pronouns are they, them, and their, or my pronouns are she, her, and hers. And for a lot of us, we're like, pronouns, what does that even mean? I haven't talked about pronouns since I was in 3rd grade. So pronouns are what you call someone when you see them, right? A lot of times we see an individual out in public, we see that they have long hair, and maybe we stereotype they're wearing a dress, and we automatically say, oh, she went into the campus recreation center. Or we see somebody with really short hair, right? And we see they're wearing jeans, pants, and we say, oh, no, he's on the intramural team, right? We're here to tell you that sometimes that doesn't work for every student, right? Sometimes students use pronouns that you might not expect. We have one of the largest trans student populations in the state of Colorado. How many of you all knew that? It is mainly because of our housing policies here at UNC. We have the most progressive housing policy in the state, which is awesome. Anybody can live with anybody. And it has attracted a large group of transgender students. A lot of our transgender students, the number one thing that they say that is like unfortunate that happens to them on a daily basis is somebody will call them he, and they should have said she. Somebody will call them she, they should have said he, right? And that might not sound like a lot, but for a student who has had to go through that process, a lot of times had to tell their family and their friends about that process, that's everything to them. And that's happening to them constantly on our campus. So a lot of times we tell folks, don't assume. All you need to know, the easiest thing you can do is use somebody's name. Stephen went to the store, Stephen bought an apple, then Stephen went home. There you go. I didn't have to use he or she at all. Use an individual's name. Be thoughtful about how we constantly gender language. Come on, guys. You know, you're in a group of all, I've seen it all the time, group of, come on ladies, let's go. Be thoughtful of our language. Use folks. Come on, folks. Also, I love it. I grew up in the South, and so y'all means all. Get it? Y'all is inclusive. Y'all is not gender. I doubt that folks know that they're being so progressive in the South. So, so think about the language that we use, right? So I want you to look at this chart up here. We have pronouns, so she, her, and hers, he, him, and his. There are other pronouns that folks use that take gender out of the equation completely. They, them, and their, ze, zir, and zim. So think about, how do you identify? What do you prefer that folks call you? You've got that? Now I want you to turn to your nearest neighbor. I want you to introduce yourself with your name and the pronouns that you use right now. Go. Okay, folks, I'm gonna bring it back. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. How many people thought that was weird as hell? Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, that's the first time no one's raised their hand. How many thought that was different and new? Okay, there we go. I appreciate that so very, very much in your acknowledgement of that and being vulnerable. Because this is new and it's different. And it's not something that we oftentimes have a conversation. But the number one excuse I get for why we don't acknowledge pronouns is because it takes too long. It just took us all of about 15 seconds to introduce ourselves with our pronouns, right? If we can take the extra 15 seconds so that it makes our students feel welcome on our campus, in our recreation center, out on the intramural fields, wherever that is, it's worth that 15 seconds, okay? We're gonna keep moving forward. I think we're one more up. One more. There we go.
Alright, so now we're going to talk about some of the common language that you've heard and kind of things that surround that. So when we talk about sex, a person's sex, it's usually a medically assigned identity based on physical packaging, our chromosomes, hormones, or genitalia. And like we've got some examples: female, male, or intersex. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about sex.
So when we're talking about gender identity, we're not talking about what you've been biologically assigned. We're talking about how the mind and heart regard the body. So how do you view yourself, right? Many examples of this could be a trans man, a trans woman. Folks also just identify as a man or a woman, right? Not every trans person identifies as a trans man or a trans woman, right? There are many trans people who say, no, I have worked very hard, I am a man or I am a woman, and we acknowledge them for that. Actually, you could also, we can go to the next slide, talk about gender expression in this as well.
Yeah, so gender expression is different from gender identity. So gender expression is the ways in which we externally communicate our gender identity to others. So we can do that through like mannerisms, clothing, body language, hairstyles, a bunch of different stuff. And it doesn't necessarily line up with your gender identity, so you can present very masculine, but still identify as a woman, for example. So some of these gender expression ways are feminine, masculine, androgynous, butch, femme. The list goes on, and there's endless combinations.
Last but certainly not least is sexual identity. That's who you're building a relationship with. Who are you romantically and physically attracted to? Some examples of this might be lesbian, gay, asexual, pansexual, polysexual. So there are many, many definitions of sexuality. And I cannot go through a laundry list of definitions for you all, and I wouldn't want to. We actually have a glossary at the center itself that's over 18 pages long. The important thing that you need to know, right, if someone identifies as, oh, I identify as asexual, transgender, polysexual individual, right? That's awesome that you identify that way. What pronouns would you like me to use, right? That's all that you really need to know. And then later, if you're curious, Google it, right? That's what Google's for. So we're actually going to do a quick activity with you all. There's 120 of you, so this is going to be really interesting. So what I'm going to have you all do is, in just a moment, there are a couple of sheets of paper up against the wall. So we have transgender, bisexual, gay, and lesbian. We're going to ask you to grab a marker or a pen, anything that you have for a writing utensil. We brought along a couple with us as well too. And you're going to write up here the first words, images, phrases, or stereotypes that you have heard in relation to these terms. So it is going to be a quick moving activity because there are a lot of you all. So what I'm going to ask you all to do is stand up